And we are live with Aussies and Kiwis for Anzacs. And today, well, my name's Tia. I really should remember to introduce myself occasionally, shouldn't I? My name's Tia, and today or tonight, I've got Bill Sowry, Terry James, and Justin Wilbur with me. So we are. It's not a coffee chat, Justin. This is a serious chat. This is my most serious one yet. But we are going to talk about the Driveways at Dawn movement, which literally started one Tuesday morning just over a month ago now. And I remember seeing a post by Justin that in a group that kind of went, I've just heard there's no Anzac Day. That's not good enough. You know, what if we all stand outside? And I literally contacted him as I was running out of my door to take my daughter to what turned out to be her last day of school. I've texted him, gone, I love the idea. Can we help? You know, how can we help? By the time I got to school, I've got all these things in my inbox going, yes, we're doing it. Yes, yes. And I literally sat in the car park of my daughter's school till she left school that afternoon because the momentum that day was huge. And that was when I started to sort of hear about Bill and Terry and the two ex-servicemen that had the same idea. And it just has become in a month. Can you guys believe that we have between us achieved this in a month? Okay, so Saturday is looking to be one amazing day of pride, of mateship, and of remembrance. And Bill, when we had our little chat yesterday, Bill gave me 3 words to sum it up, and I've taken those on board because I think that they really do embrace it. And Bill told me that it needs to be a simple, solemn and safe commemorative service that we are doing, and that is what we've all achieved. So I'm going to open the floor up to each of you individually just to give us an idea of why you were so passionate about the fact that Anzac Day had to go ahead. Bill, do you want to share some of your story? I know you've been, in the services for 37 years, and yeah, you can tell us the rest because I'm guessing it's quite a story, your attachment to the services and Anzacs.
Sure. Thanks, Tia. Look, and thanks for having me on Aussies and Kiwis for Anzac. It's a real privilege. It's been a remarkable journey since a post on the posts on the 16th and 17th of March, and where we've come is phenomenal. Look, I'm the grandson of an original Anzac who was in the 10th Battalion, landed on the first day, saw out the Anzac landings, got wounded a couple of times at Anzac, evacuated out to Lemnos, came back on, then went to France and went through, Pozieres, Dernicourt, and then finished up in Villers-Bretonneux as one of his last battles before he was evacuated back to Australia in June 1918 as one of the original Anzacs. I guess it was with that history that my elder brother joined the army in 75. He sort of, I liked what I saw about his life, and I joined in 1980. My younger brother liked what he saw about our 2 lives, and he joined in 83. And dare I say it, my wife didn't know me at that time, but she joined in 86. So she's done 33 years, and I think between myself and my brothers, and my son's also in the army, he's in his 2nd year now at the Defence Academy. So we've done 120 plus years, all in army across the family. So Anzac Day is pretty deeply ingrained in our life. It's been a very, it's embedded in the children. Obviously, they don't get much choice about not going to Anzac Day. When all this happened, and there was a lot of disappointment on the web, and I saw that Terry had made a very sensible comment. It made me reflect about a job I had in London, where every year I used to go to a little village called Sutton Vaney, which is in the Cotswolds. There's 143 Australians buried in Sutton Vaney, because it was where the first Australian General Hospital was based. 138 of those died of influenza. And when I saw Terry's comment, it just made me think that if those soldiers understood what social distancing was at that time, and it could have saved just one of those soldiers, they would have dearly done it. And that's when I suggested to Terry that, maybe the answer is to stand at the end of the driveway, turn on the ABC, have a minute silent, and line the streets of the nation everywhere. And I was happy to leave it go there. Terry thought it was a nice idea, topped and tailed it, put it on a bunch of websites. Clearly, it joined with Jay's idea about the candle on the porch. And I think together it's melded really nicely. Wonderful imagery across the country, I think, on Saturday morning as, you get drones or cars driving down the street showing this sort of activity. And I think it's at a time when everybody's feeling isolated, and they're particularly so right now. This is actually a really important event for a sense of community, thinking about others rather than self, and all of those sort of things. So I think it's really, it's a wonderful, it's sad that we have to do it this way, but in the being sensible about it and being safe about it and protecting all those old veterans who would have gone to a crowded event, it's the only way to do it, I think.
That one I 100% agree with. I've spoken to sort of a couple of locals recently along those very lines, that haven't been able to actually go to a service in the last couple of years because of their health, but they actually welled up with pride that we could actually do this and that they can be part of this massive movement that has, it's bigger than Australia. It's New Zealand and France and, it's across the world. It is Australians and Kiwis everywhere. What was that, Jay?
Keep going up. There's over 100 countries, and
there's been a massive amount of people that have sort of said, "Wow, what a great idea!" And in the month since sort of the idea was first floated, well, now there's the mateship, the guys with the bugles. There's the ones that are playing Amazing Grace at 10:30. There's a lot of live services happening and being streamed, which a month ago everyone just went, oh, no public gatherings. Oh no, what do we do? Where now this is, is looking to be probably the biggest Anzac Day commemoration service that we've ever seen, which is just extraordinary. Terry, what's your connection? I know you used to work with Bill at one stage. So what's your connection with Anzacs and services, apart from that beautiful wall behind you?
Yeah. So my military career started when I was firstly in high school. I was in Army Cadets all through high school. So from year 8 through to year 12. And then that kind of made up my mind to join the military. So I joined a little bit later than Bill. So I joined in 92. And was discharged in January this year. So, but I had a grandfather that was in an engineering unit in WEWAC and PNG during the war as well, during World War II, not World War One. I've had an uncle that was an engineer during the Vietnam period as well. So, and I joined up as an engineer as well. So Bill was my CO back in the day, my commanding officer back in the day when we were both at 3CR together. I was a digger, a sapper at that stage. So Bill's a lot more senior than what I am. So, but I've been the same. So I did the dawn services all through the cadet years before I went to the army at Redcliffe, where I'm from in Queensland, there just north of Brisbane. And then every year after that, when I joined the army, and I was lucky enough just to grow up through the ranks, where I was then put in charge to helping local RSLs around the place run, camouflages and all that type of stuff, dawn services and mid-morning services and all that type of them with soldiers on the ground as well. So it was really good.
Yeah, I was just sort of thinking while you were chatting, just geographically, this would not happen in another time and place, because we're actually covering 3 states just standing here, because I'm in New South Wales. And you guys are in Queensland, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm in Townsville, yeah.
You're in Townsville, and Justin's down in Ballarat, so we actually cover from like the very top end right down the coast to the bottom end. So, you know, the fact that this is the way that we have to do it means that we all get to do something together that's amazing. I know the other admins on the page, you know, Ashes from Toowoomba, they're from Deniliquin and like all over Australia as well. So, you know, this is something, like I said, that everyone has embraced. And whilst you two guys are or you two gentlemen are Army, I know that the Navy has embraced it. I know that the Air Force, that we've actually got vets and people that are connected to all the different wars as well as all the different services, which again is mind-blowing that we've had this opportunity to come together for probably the first time really in history that we've actually got to do this. So it's quite amazing. Jay, what's your connection with the forces?
Well, my father, as most people know, or at least I've said quite a few times, and I don't want to spend too much time on my story. I've said it so many times, people are probably getting sick of it. My dad was a chopper pilot in Vietnam for the US Army. I was born in Thailand. We lived in Saigon, which is the old name for the capital city of Vietnam, when I was a baby, and we moved here when I was about almost 3 years old, 2.5 or 3 years old. So most of my memories, of course, of that period are gone, but Anzac Day, being the closest thing, I suppose, to an American Veterans Day, has always been inclusive of soldiers everywhere. It's always been a part of the Aussie tradition, and being that my life in Australia started so young, it's always been a part of mine. I've been to dawn services as long as I can remember, like from when I was tiny, holding on to Dad's leg kind of thing, right through till as recent as last year. Different locations, of course, because I have moved around a bit. But, yeah, I just couldn't imagine Anzac Day not happening in some publicly acknowledged way. Sitting at home watching the TV just wasn't enough for me. Yeah.
I know I've been an absolute slacker the last few years. I haven't actually gotten up every Anzac Day. I have a couple of times. My girls have marched in the local dawn service a few times. But when I was with St John's Ambulance Cadets, so I won't tell you how long ago, a long time ago, we used to march in Woonona. So we would be up at sort of 4:30. And I remember when we very first started, somebody said, "What time is it? I normally leave at 4:30 to go to the event." And we kind of had to ask her how long her driveway was, because literally that's how much time is required to set up to honour, to remember this year, which is, again, quite different, because most of the time, people, especially in rural and semi-rural areas, it is sort of that hour drive or half-hour drive to get to any sort of decent remembrance service. So it's, quite an interesting one that we do only really have to get up at 5:30 this year. So
I think it's important to acknowledge also that in some cases, a gathering of people to commemorate a day like Anzac Day can be quite distressing or uncomfortable for some people. Being around, being acknowledged, being, sort of put in the limelight like that can be quite triggering for someone, especially if they have PTSD. Yeah. So this is a way to connect with a greater collective in the safety and comfort of your own bubble at home. And I think that's part of the reason why members such as Justin Bird have gravitated to it so much. And I speak to Justin probably twice a week. I spoke to him today. It's been really good for him, and I truly hope that he's one of thousands that have taken the same sense of belonging, I suppose, out of it.
Yep.
Yeah, I say that there's been a lot that have got a sense of purpose and value. You just have to look at the posts that you've had on your page over the last 4 weeks, the people who've found it of value, the sense of pride they have in their own family to be able to tell their own particular family story. You make a great point, Jay, that everybody celebrates or sort of commemorates Anzac Day in their own particular way. It's always, for a service person, an intensely personal experience. Some, like yourselves, and myself, will always go to Anzac Day. Some people march, some people don't march. Others, because of the if you like, the shadows upon their soul, they choose not to go because it might trigger PTSD for them. So, there is an element that we just need to be mindful and respectful of everybody on the street who may not get out into their driveway because they may be a veteran and they may choose to be celebrating in their own way, because it is intensely personal. I think it's right for everybody across the nation to respect what people's choices on the day, because ultimately we as soldiers, sailors, airmen and women do what we do so people in Australia have a choice to do what they would like to do.
Yeah, exactly. The good thing about Anzac Day as well is that it's a day where race and whatever service you're from doesn't seem to really matter, and as it shouldn't. But it's just a day where I think all of Australia just gets together. And we celebrate every veteran, either who has served or is currently still serving, regardless of race, skin color, belief, whatever. And that's an awesome thing.
And I think it's always, I think the key word that you used there, Bill, was respect. That it's about respecting the individual's right to or choice to honour and commemorate the day as they see fit. But I think everything should be about respect. Do you know what I mean? Not just this day. Our society needs to really have a look at itself and ask itself what values they want to carry forward out of this movement and out of this lockdown, out of this unprecedented piece of history, and what they want their personal and national identity to be. And I think respect is a really, really good place to start, being respectful.
Yeah, look, I think everybody's seen the best of Australia and the worst of Australia in the last 4 weeks, and some of the behaviours and attitudes and that sort of thing. And I think Saturday is a good opportunity to be gentle with each other, and be mindful and be respectful, as I've said, and embrace what we've been able to achieve as a community, as a country, enabled by what our Anzac did for us, our soldiers and sailors and airmen of the Second World War, and all those who've come since. And realistically, and it's a really important point for Saturday, people continue to serve. We have people on operations overseas, but right now the main game is keeping Australia safe and healthy. And there's a bunch of Australians who don't wear, a green, blue or white uniform, who most of the time go unsung. And I think, Saturday is a great way. I think I've suggested it to you at the very end of it. If all those in the street put a minute's worth of applause to our emergency services, our health workers, our AMBO drivers, our police, the people who work behind, shop counters so we can go to the shops. It's a recognition that we respect and value what you do for the nation. You may not think it's important, but we're seeing now it actually is.
Yeah, well, it's definitely making everybody think very differently about lots and lots of things, isn't it? There's no football. I don't think anyone envisioned that would ever happen, type thing. Yet here it is, and our doctors and our nurses are the ones that are getting all the attention at the moment, and rightly so. And I have nothing against footballers, don't get me wrong, but the society has sort of had the wrong people in held up as their heroes, and now we have a new awakening, a new awareness of who the real heroes within our society are.
Agreed.
I was listening to the news, and I think it was one of the health ministers in one of the states who was reaching out and applauding all the medical engineers who keep all the equipment going and maintained and serviced so people can continue to do the job. There's a lot of people out there doing a lot for all of us. And, if this has done anything, it's made us think about all those others who contribute and who serve and do stuff. And of course, the the whole driveway at dawn movement's done a lot more than that in terms of, you know, uniting the nation in a common purpose. You know, kids and parents are sharing more time than they ever had before, doing poppies and lanterns and flags and paintings, and you know, that's good for everybody, I think.
There's definitely been pretty much, because everybody, well, most of the kids and whatever are at home, then yeah, there is a lot of people doing a lot of craft things. And I saw yesterday one of the comments on the page was kind of like, you know, why are they making it such a festival? It's not a festival. This is supposed to be what you sort of said, a solemn sort of day. But saying that, people can't go to the local club and the local cenotaph and the local memorial to pay their respects. And so people just in their own homes are looking at ways to pay respect. You know, the kids aren't at school, so they're not learning about the traditions. So they're learning about the poppies. I'm quite sure that not a single household that's made a poppy out of an egg carton or out of a piece of paper or out of a cupcake holder has made the poppy and gone, yep, beautiful, there's our poppy. I'm pretty sure there's been a discussion about why they're making a poppy, why we're doing this on Sunday, what the services have meant and what they've meant to people, which is, yeah, the way it is. I've got a comment here. Now, I'm going to put this one up only because this is something that comes up on in our questions a lot. And Lisa's sort of asking, why don't we have Anzac in capitals? Do one of you guys, like, I know the answer to this now because we've done a lot of research into it, but do one of you guys want to run with this one and give Lisa an understanding?
Terry,
Anzac Day. Yeah, Anzac Day is supposed to be written all as capitals, so because it's an acronym, you know, Army New Zealand, Australian and New Zealand Army Corps. So that's what it's for. It's not like a name title. It's actually an acronym. So for this, it's supposed to be all in the same case, in the same size. So I've seen it written in a few different ways. I've seen it written a capital A and then a small NZAC. But it's all supposed to be the same size.
We actually did research this to make sure that we had it right, because we didn't want to be disrespectful. And when you look into the DVA, the Department of Veteran Affairs thing, they actually have file after file on flag protocol, on all sorts of things that just lay people like us can look at. And yes, it is an acronym, so it should be in capital letters, but there was something a few years ago that it is actually now a word on its own. So as long as it's got a capital A, you can use it respectfully without you're not showing any sort of disrespect. It is still a respectful use of the term, because Anzac itself has it's an acronym. It's where it started, but it is actually now a word, so it doesn't necessarily have to be in caps. So we've put it in the file section on the page. We've put a link to the Department of Veteran Affairs, so that, you know, so that if anyone did question it, that it is. But you're spot on. In its capital form, that is the acronym, which is why we have the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps. That's where it came from. But I think because it's been in use for so long now, it is now recognised as a word on its own merit.
Could I ask Terry a question? I was just wondering what the response has been up in Townsville, which is an army city. All respect to Raf Garbutt and all of that sort of thing, but it is a big army city. So what's the feedback you've got up there?
Oh, it's been really good up here. So the good thing about it too, my wife works for the Townsville Council, and the council even know about it. So they've taken it right on board and have even asked for a little bit of advice here and there as well, which is awesome. So I'd never expected it to go as far as what it did. It all just started with the conversation, a post I made on, I think, was the Rural Veterans Facebook site about, you know, just trying to squash everyone's, you know, how dare they remove Anzac Day and all that type of stuff. And I just try to mention there are different ways we can do it. We need to worry about we've still got Korean veterans and Vietnam veterans that are that are now getting quite senior on their age, and the report of the coronavirus back then was that it's very bad for people that are in their senior years. So we just try to come up with a different way of doing it. You can still, show your pride in the Australian legend as the Anzacs are, and that's where Bill then made the little comment about, well, why don't we just go to the end of the driveway? And with his permission, I went, well, I'm going to take this further. So then I just threw it on so many different. All of the like the ADF websites, Facebook sites that I'm a part of, I threw it all on there, and it just exploded from there. So the post I put on my personal Facebook page has been shared like 1,700 times, and that just blew me away to think that it went so far. So just a simple little idea, and I'm just really glad that Australia's taken it on. Like Bill and I used to both say, a
knee-jerk reaction, wasn't it, to sort of see all those posts going, it's cancelled, we can't do it. It's like, but we can do it. We just have to think different. It's like school.
We always try and look at the positive out of the negative, and there's always a positive. So just because we can't go down to the local cenotaph and do what we've done every year, which is an awesome way to celebrate the Anzac spirit, but I don't think we want to make the mistake of what happened in 1918. So during the end of the war, for example, everyone flooded the streets again at the end of the war, and then the second wave of the pandemic was unleashed, and it killed more people than what the whole of World War I did. So just the second wave of the Spanish flu back then. So I didn't want to see that happen again.
In the Australian context, we had the same deaths now that we had in the Spanish influenza per capita. There would have been 75,000 Australian dead in this coming 12 months. We're doing a remarkable job to do what we're doing now in sort of flattening the curve and using lingo. But I'm one of those who do ascribe to listening to the medics and listening to what they say and behaving. I just saw that comment from Rochelle, and it just reminded me that and it goes to what you said before, Tia, with everything that everybody's doing. This is probably the most personalised Anzac, because most people say, okay, I'll put the shirt on, I'll put the jacket on, I'll put the tie on, put the medals on, I'll go to the parade and the service, and it's all done for you. And people are actually making it very personal. What do I want to do? How do I want my children? And as Rochelle has said, how do I teach my children about what it is? Yep. Because they've got no, insight into war and horror and, 20 million dead and all of that sort of stuff. How do I put it in terms that they can understand about service and sacrifice and doing stuff for others, regardless of what it means for you personally and all of that sort of thing? So it's really personalised, and the strength is in the way people have embraced it and what it means to them, and telling their story and the family's narrative, and giving sense and meaning to a new generation of Australians coming through. That's wonderful. And thank you guys for getting news out there.
I think next year when services resume, and we're all assuming that by next year that we will have regular services again, I think that we will still get record crowds at those services. But those that can't go, you guys have left, in the wake of this, you guys have left a legacy that can be used for years to come for people that can't get to services for whatever reason. So, and a lot of the time, smaller towns and whatever have like the 10 a.m. service. So now they've got an option moving forward for a dawn service every single year, and then go to their local and actually catch up with their people. But they can know that at dawn they're standing with the entire country.
Yep.
So that's an amazing legacy. I've got two really, really good comments there, and I really want to put it up. I really want to put them up, but they're really big. I'm going to cut off all your faces. So I'll read them to you instead. So the comment that Bill referred to from Rochelle says, I do not have any family members that have served or even know anyone that has, but I think it is important to remember those that have. And I'm trying to teach my kids this also. I took my 7-year-old to his first dawn parade last year, and we will be at the end of our driveway this year. He also has a number of pieces of work this week that he will be completing for school that are Anzac related. We will discuss these in depth so that he truly understands what Anzac is all about. So spot on, like perfect example of leading the next generation. So thumbs up to Rochelle for sure, and everything that Bill said about that one.
There is one there from Joan King that I'm just noting that it's a lovely way to remember those wonderful men who gave their lives to keep us safe and free. And I just want to remind everybody that in every war we've had women by our side, caring for us in the first couple of wars as nurses predominantly, but in all the recent conflict they've been in the front line, doing frontline roles side by side by everybody, sharing the burden. And, as a proud husband of a wife who served for 33 years, they're with us side by side. So make sure we acknowledge them too. And they wear their medals on the left.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. Now, there is another big one. I'll come back to that one. I just want to share this one with you. This is from Bron King. Now, she's an Appin local who has popped up on our page a couple of times in the last week. And Bron's actually working in the COVID ward at Campbelltown Hospital. So, but Bron's daughter was the one that I spoke to last week, the Mackenzie McAvoy King, the 17-year-old who went on the Clubs New South Wales Anzac tour to Europe 2 years ago. So Bron is very instrumental in a lot of the stuff that's happening with the local war memorial and things like that. So I'm laughing at her comment that says, well done, guys. What do we do next week without you all? Because I think Bron's been a bit like us. So it's sort of ISO hit, everything sort of hit at the same time. And, people ask me how I'm doing. I haven't stopped. I literally have not stopped. And so Bron's much the same. They're doing a lot of things for the local community. And I've got to say, the community where Bron is, they have they've started a meat raffle, right? Because that is as traditional to Australians as a ceremony is, as a service is. But what they've done, their local butcher, they've put cards up, and you go in and you grab your card, you pay your money, you pick up your dinner, and then when all the cards are sold, then they draw a winner and somebody wins a meat tray. So all they've done exactly what they would normally do in the lead up to Anzac at the local pub, but without the local pub's behind it, but they can't actually do the meat raffles at the pub. Now, they started this idea 3 days ago, I think, and they're on to their 4th meat tray. So,
wow.
People are really thinking outside the square and not just going into their homes and isolating, but thinking how can we do this differently? So it's quite amazing. So hello, Bronwyn, and I'm sure if you guys give her a hello, she'll be stoked.
Well, I just saw one from a anonymous Facebook user who said my father was born and bred in Ireland, and it was interesting that there was a post yesterday that I saw about the very large number of the 40,000. I think it was Irishmen who died in the First World War, a phenomenal loss. And of course, many Australians were Irish Australians, just as they were Scottish Australians. Billy Singh was a Chinese Australian. We tend to think that Australia's they all came from the same stock, but they didn't. They came from all around the world. And as Australia's evolved, we've simply got more colour to us. Even with Jay, we've got an American with us, God forbid. So
we have a lot of Indigenous service as well, which is awesome.
Indigenous, yeah.
Pacific Islanders, Islanders. Australia is a multicultural society after all, so we're the land of many faces.
Okay, so the other big other large comment that if I put it up will cover everybody's face is from Terry, and it says, this isolation has really made us appreciate this Anzac Day all the more towards our diggers, as we have a sense of not having the freedom we would like to in the comfort of our own homes with Netflix, etc. We're not out in the field fighting for freedom, so we will be honouring our diggers with much more pride. And Matt had been madly fine-tuning his trumpet for the last yeah, there you go, her son's playing his trumpet on the weekend. So thank you very much for the idea.
I have to say a special thank you to Terry. Terry was interviewed by the ABC on the page. Her 10-year-old boy is a mad keen Anzac fan, a bit of a youth historian in a lot of ways. I remember in particular talking to Terry, and she told me that her boy, and I've forgotten his name, I'm so sorry, actually dug trenches in the backyard, and she had to stop him because when it rained, they got completely sloppy and disgusting. But he's mad keen. The interview is on the actual website, so have a look. He's playing his trumpet for the last post. He shows off his Anzac wall or his Anzac table. Just a beautiful, beautiful story. And there's a few other stories that are on there as well from members. So thank you, Terry.
Well done, Terry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think there are no other. I think we've had all the other comments now, except Ash wants her local butcher to do a raffle as well. So Ash, I will put you in contact with Deb and Bron, who will give you the lowdown on how to run it. Although different states, so we do need to still be very aware of the different gaming laws in the different states when we do things like that. Because we don't want to get in trouble for running a meat raffle. So there is that one. Okay. I think we had this one, didn't we? Lovely way to remember the guys that. Yep. So that one was there as. Oh wait, one more maybe. Oh, Terry said thank you. So for mentioning her, said it was her pleasure. Righto. Is there anything else we need to cover today?
Well, I'm conscious of the time, and I know that the guys have lives they need to get back to. I just wanted to come back to something you said earlier. You said what I just said and called them the guys, and then corrected yourself and said gentlemen.
Yeah.
From the moment I met both of the two of you e-meeting and speaking with yourself one-on-one over the phone, you've been nothing but gentlemen, and it's been a real pleasure to have merged the ideas that have happened separately. I didn't even know who you were until I think it was the second day when Ash was talking to me and saying, Bill and Terry, I'm not who the hell are Bill and Terry. An absolute pleasure to work with you, to talk with you, to chat and joke with you. And I'm very grateful. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for letting us join your little groups. It's been really good. So, the big group that it is now. Yeah.
But Ash actually wants to say something. So she is saying, well, whoops, where did it go? Here it is. There you go. She wants to say thank you for your service, Terry and Bill, because Ash, I know Ash knows one of you, and Ash is in the services as well, but she's one of our very active, currently on maternity leave, so very active on our as admin on our page, and one of our guiding lights as far as, what we can, what we can't say.
She's doing an awesome job behind the scenes there,
Everybody. Yeah, everybody.
Well done, Ash.
Yeah, kudos to you, Ash. Well done.
Yeah.
Cole's Toowoomba and Ash is Townsville. So, you guys, once this is all over, you should go and have a cup of coffee and give each other the high five. You know that you're not allowed to give each other down.
I think she lives in the same suburb as me, Ashley.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, because you just mentioned about the North Shore Butcher before on one of her little messages I saw flash up on the screen. Yeah.
So, well, all I can say is thank you very much for joining us and sharing your stories. And, this idea, like I said, I can honestly see it as being just a massive legacy. This will be Anzac Day that won't be forgotten in a hurry for very many different reasons to the normal Anzac Day. I know that sort of 2015 was a pretty big one that most people will remember being
years,
the 100 years. And this one at 105 is going to be memorable for very many very different reasons, but I think that they will all be good. So thank you again for joining us. And I did hear somebody earlier sort of say Happy Anzac Day, and to me that's the wrong sentiment. I know that's what automatically comes out, but I think that it is more, using Bill's words, have a solemn, safe, and what was the other word? Oh, simple, solemn and safe service this Saturday. And I will be joining all of you in our driveways this Saturday. I did say Saturday before, didn't I? I'll be sleeping on Sunday, but I will be joining you in the driveway on Saturday. Okay, now wait, I've been told I'm not to leave yet. Ash has told me that there is something awesome in the chat, so I'm going to have to go back. We do have a retired soldier. I'm pretty sure that's not it. Ash wants to meet one of you in the pub. I'm pretty sure that's not it.
Okay. Malay, kia kaha.
She's going to give me. Yeah, you've got my attention.
I hate to say it though, but being the army guys that we are, or ex-army guys that we are, maybe start thinking something for Remembrance Day if the current situation is not really at a place yet where we can, freely go out and in mass crowds and all that type of stuff. So I've been thinking about that for the last few days.
I just found out that ScoMo made his address regarding Anzac, and it's pretty good.
It is. So I wonder. Okay, this is going to technically. This could be interesting. You guys keep talking. Just give me 2 minutes. Chat. Open slather. You guys are on. I'm going to see if I can be really clever. Okay.
Well, I can see that Malay Lokopo served with me in Timor in 2009. I was lucky enough in all my tours to have served with the Kiwis, and I just like to say what a privilege it was. There was I was the most precious gift I have is a marae that was given to me by the Kiwi detachment, which is the ceremonial chieftains club made out of Punamu, which is the New Zealand greenstone. And the Kiwis made such a unique difference, very multicultural like us, but they brought a nuance to working in a small island community that the Pakia, as he will understand, from Australia couldn't necessarily bring. So it's just such a wonderful thing to have the Kiwis watching this, to have the RSA in New Zealand embrace the same idea, and all my friends from the Kiwi Army and Air Force and Navy that I've served with over the time standing in their driveways. So great to have reached out to me and remind me of you guys and the Kiwi multicultural group that we used over there. I'm not sure as an Australian doing a haka I probably did it justice, but I tried nonetheless. But it was a great privilege to work with them.
Yeah, we took over from the New Zealanders in Bougainville in '98 when it was the peace, when it turned from the peace monitoring force to the peace treaty force. I think it was, back a long time ago, 1998. So we were the first full Aussie contingent to go over there and relieved, did the big high five with the Kiwis, and they sailed off and we took over. It was good.
Okay. I'm going to say that I have seriously been operating this system for 2 weeks. Okay. I jumped in the deep end to try some new skills. I don't mind upskilling occasionally, and this has been one of my new skills. So if you guys can give me 30 seconds, I'm getting it up here. I'm going to share, instead of doing our final video, I've got a different one. Oh, come on. Okay, it's all right. Got to love internet, Wi-Fi, whatever you want to call it. Here we go. I've got it. So we can hopefully share this with you, seeing as it has just been shared. Something you said earlier, Bill, you said your grandfather was at Gallipoli, and my grandfather was at Gallipoli as well, but he wasn't in the ones that hit the beach. He was actually an AMBO, so he was one of the stretcher bearers, an AMBO that followed them in. So, and for him, when he came back, there was no support, and he never spoke about the war. He literally just got on with doing other things and never ever spoke about the war at all. So now I've got it here.
My grandfather was much the same. I was saying on radio this morning that my mother only recalled seeing my grandfather cry once, and that was in 1942 when he was took my mum's cousin out into the backyard. He was in the 2nd AIF and was about to go to New Guinea, and he took him around for a walk to try and tell him what it was going to be like and what to expect to do it. And he came back to the backyard or the back steps, and his eyes were streaming, and that was the only time in all the time my mum knew him that he cried. And it was that recollection of how horrific it really was, and sending off another relative to the same environment, and realistically having no control over it. But that's what people do when they go and do their duty.
It's been amazing to see sort of all the different services that are provided now, like Soldier On and Red 6 and all the other services that are available, so that that our returned men our returned service people don't have that drama anymore. Now, oops, sorry, did it again. I put my face up. I think that this is it. Let's have a look. Yes, look at that. Go me. Okay, you guys can hang on there. Don't go anywhere. Here is ScoMo's thing today. Let's turn that up and get that playing.
Our Anzac Day traditions will be interrupted, but that doesn't mean we'll be forgetting our history. We're not. We never will. We will never forget. That's our promise to everyone who has served and who serves us to this day. But we will do things differently, and this year Anzac Day will be remembered at home. And I want to give you a few ideas about how you and your friends and family can participate in remembering those who gave everything and continue to give everything for our country. You can join us at the dawn service by watching it at 5:30 a.m. And then at 6, stand in your driveway, on your balcony, in your living room with a candle or a light, holding up the light of your phone perhaps, and join other Australians in lighting up the dawn in remembrance. For families with children, there's also plenty you can do. At the Australian War Memorial website, you can learn how to make a poppy or print an Anzac Day drawing, and you can colour it in. Parents at home, you can help the kids make Anzac biscuits. It's something Jenny does every year. And you can research the stories of loved ones who have served and post their stories and photos online. All great ways of remembering. For many veterans, Anzac Day is a tough time with lots of very hard memories. And this year, it could be harder still because veterans won't be able to gather together to support each other as they so often do. So if you know a veteran, give them a call, check in on them, thank them for their service. This year, we are all in a different type of battle as a nation, but one that is vital to us, protecting livelihoods, protecting lives. On Anzac Day, we are all going to draw strength from the values that have made us who we are as a people. Mateship, courage, endurance, sacrifice, as well as the stoicism and service and generosity that was demonstrated in the unquenching loyalty of our veterans as they served each other and they served our nation. These are the values that resulted in so many Australians doing extraordinary things, and that is what we are called on to do now.
Oh, sorry, I was trying to get rid of the comment that came up there. Can I get him back? No, I've lost it. Sorry. We will. I'm pretty sure that we've shared that onto our page, and that's great. That basically everything we've just talked about, Mr. Morrison has said on live TV as well. So that's great to know that. That it's not just us, that we seriously are talking about the entire nation being part of this movement. So that's good news. And sorry that I lost it. I wanted to get rid of the notifications that ping my inbox all the time. So, but thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today. And as Justin said before, being quite aware of how long we've had you on here, and I really do appreciate you guys taking time out of your evening and joining us live. And it's been an absolute pleasure to meet you, even though it's only virtually. It has been my pleasure to meet you, and to also get to be part of this legacy that you guys have created. So thank you very much for that opportunity and for letting me be part of what you guys are doing. So thank you very much. And I'm pretty sure that goes from there's 200,000 people that are saying, yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Tia. Thanks, Jay. Thanks, Terry.
Yeah, thanks everyone. I'd just like to say a couple of quick things at the end. So I'd like to give a big shout out to this webpage for taking the idea, and it's just exploded. Also, I'd like to thank the CEO of Victorian RSL, Jamie Twiddle, and that's someone that Bill and I both know as well, and we've served with over the times. He took this on and just ran with it as well. And just like to give a big salute to all of Australia for just embracing this a different way of thinking and how we can actually still remember our ex-service and people who are still serving, because we've got people that won't be home. We'll have medics that are going to be in Tasmania helping them with their situation down there. We've still got people in Iraq and all over the world at the moment in different types of deployments, operational and not operational deployments. So it's just it's just been fantastic. Well done, Australia.
Yeah, thank you very much. And on that note, we will play our video and enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jen.